All right. Like I said, we're going to talk about the coaching staff tonight. We got Nate. We got Rob the Nick. We had Guillermo. We got Guillermo back. We got these guys in the chat. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start talking to see what's going on, man. So let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk to these guys. Let's see what they're talking about. We'll get a quick intro first. Then after we get the intro, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the show. All right, so let's get to these guys, man. Let's see what's popping with them. Nate, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you in a minute. What's good? I still can't hear you, Nate. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to come back to you, bro. Rob the Nick?
Yo, what's popping?
I'm chilling,
what's
man.
Going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Look, when I sent you that super chat on Friday, I was in the car and I was talking voice text. But what I was saying was, if it was Frank and Trier, if they draft positions was vice versa, would everybody have anything to say about Frank then?
Oh, Frank and Trier? If they were vice versa, no, I don't think people would have anything to say about them at that point.
But what would they be saying about Trier?
What would they be saying about Trier? And your video froze on us a little bit, man. So right now we're just looking at your nose. You know what I mean?
Okay. Wait. Okay, yeah, this thing be jumping.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm gonna flip it to the main screen, but
all right, there it is.
To me. All right.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm saying is like, yeah, what would they be saying about Trier in that position? Like, if he was the ninth, the way he playing now, would they be talking bad about him?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know. You know, that might be something that we get to a little bit later. They probably would. I mean, I would think. Well. Okay. I'll say this. This is what I'm gonna say. If Trier was drafted at that position and he did what he did last year, I do not
10 a game, 45% from the field, 39% from three.
Right. I do not think people would be talking bad about him. Not if he did that. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think so. If he did that, I think people would be okay. You know what I'm saying? That's not a bad stat line for a rookie. In my opinion, it's not bad for a rookie.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a lot of it is always going to be relative. You know what I mean? It's going to be relative to where you were drafted. We were talking about this the other day. Things are going to be relative to where you were drafted. Things are going to be relative to what your expectations were coming out of college. All that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's going to determine, the way people feel about you as a draft pick. Not even as a draft pick. I mean, obviously, it happens that way as a free agent too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
A lot of times, how you're viewed is based on your salary. How you're viewed as a player is based on your salary, based on your draft, as we were discussing. You know what I mean? If Julius Randle had gotten the max, the expectations for what Julius Randle would do this year would, he wouldn't be able to exceed or probably even meet those expectations. But because of the salary that he's at, people are looking like, okay, he's a player that could possibly outplay his salary. You know what I'm saying? So it looks really, really good. But once that's true. So all of that stuff really does play a big role into the expectations of the player, and I think rightfully so. At some point, well, here it is. And I'll apply this to Frank. With the Knicks, the expectations are going to be there because we drafted him at the 9th pick, right? 8th or 9th pick, whatever it was. So people are going to look and say, well, he should be doing this for us, and he should be, at the very least, a role player for us. And people are hoping a starter. But now let's say he doesn't become that for the Knicks, and another team picks him up somewhere down the line. And when they pick him up, he becomes an 8th or 9th guy off the bench that produces and comes in and provides some defense and does whatever he does in the NBA. He'll be looked at as a great pickup. even if he doesn't come in and do those things, and you get him at the veterans minimum, they'll say, you know what, this is still a young guy that has the potential to maybe turn it around in his career. This is a guy that has, low risk, high reward. You know what I'm saying? So he'll be looked at a lot differently. That's just the way that it goes in the NBA, man. That's just the way that it goes. Yeah. But let me get back around to you, all right? Let me get back around to you.
Okay, cool.
And let me get City for Real in here. All right, I'm going to come over here to Guermo. Let him say what's going on. Guermo, what's up, man?
What's good, man? I'm seeing a lot of stuff about the Knicks online. I see Julius Randle starting to, I don't know who told us last week, but, he's talking up Mitch, and these guys are all starting to play together. It's pretty cool to see. He's got Randle, like I said, one of his biggest weaknesses is shooting threes, and you see him. I know it's pick up games don't really mean as much, but if he's truly working on his 3-point shot, I love that. His defense, even when he's playing on Cantor, I don't know if you saw the video of him and Cantor playing against each other, but his defense still leaves a lot to be desired. But of course, obviously playing in the summer, so whatever. But yeah, man, I don't know. I just feel like this group, there's so much potential with these young guys, and they're not so young to the point that they're like rookies or they're deer in the headlights. I think they're young and they have some type of knowledge of how the game goes. And I think they probably see this as all their biggest chance. DSJ, Randall, even Knox. I know he's a second-year player. So I'm just, Portis, all these guys, I'm just kind of excited to see where it goes. And yeah, let's when we talk about the coaches coming in, I really want to see what the coaches do with these guys because, the guy that came from last year, or that was on the Knicks last year, I think he won Coach of the Year 2 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. And, when you saw him work with guys like Trey Burke, Luke Cornett, when he's with the Westchester Knicks, he got like the best out of them offensively. And if he could bring that up here to where these guys being a little more aggressive, even when Luke Cornett was at Westchester, you saw him being aggressive, taking shots off the dribble on a fast break. And it was like, what the hell is this? So, it didn't translate as much, but he was shooting threes, at a decent rate with the Knicks, I guess. But, I want to see what he does with these guys coming up. I want to see the offensive schemes that he puts them in and how he improves some of the deficiencies, right? So it remains to be seen. But, I'm pretty optimistic about this coaching staff.
Yeah, okay. And the coaching staff is definitely going to be key to everything that the Knicks want to do this year.
Oh, yeah. Fizzo has to, like we talked about, Fizzo has to show that he could develop players. Again, like we said last week, we had the Grizzlies. They were kind of like I won't say ready-made team, but, they had the pieces to be, a team that can get you 40 wins just off the strength, and this is a team that is not as bad nowhere near as bad as last year. He has vets coming in. He has rookies. He has young guys, and there's talent across the board. So, if Fizzo can get the right coaching staff to hone in these guys' skills and to get a team defense, sky's the limit, man.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, man. The coaching staff is so key in helping these guys to develop and reach their potential. I mean, it's so key. And not just David Fez Dale, but all of the assistant coaches. Is very, very key. So that's why we're going to break it down and talk about them a little bit. We got Nate back in the chat. We'll see if Nate's microphone stuff can come through. I see Isaiah is here. But I'm going to come to City for real and see what City is talking about. City, what's good, bro?
Yo, what's going on, brother?
I'm chilling, my man. I'm chilling.
Yo, we good on audio? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, bro.
Oh, all right. So we good. We straight. Hey, man, I'll tell you what, man. I'm just excited to see what Fizz can do with the talent that we got. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got some new talent on the roster. You know what I'm saying? So I think we got to upgrade. Like, you know what I mean? From certain positions, I think we got to upgrade. Like, so I'm hoping Fizz can do what I think he can do. And that's I want to say get us to that 41 mark at least with the talent that we have.
Okay. All right.
At least if we don't make it there, as long as we beat our record from last year with a good significant amount of wins, I'll be happy with that.
Okay. All right. Well, it's gonna take this coaching staff to do it. Let me say what's up to Nate, and then I'm gonna say what's up to Isaiah. Then we're gonna get into it, man. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go by one. I don't know how much you guys know about the coaching staff, but we'll get your take on each one. Nate, can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. There we go.
God. Yeah, man, it's been a while. I've catched some of the shows. It's just things have been crazy, but now I'm back.
All right, man. Glad to have you back. We're gonna get.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna get.
Glad to be back, man. Getting ready for football season. It's gonna kick off the next couple of weeks. College football this week, but basketball is just around the corner, man.
Yes, sir. Just around the corner, man. We got about 30 days until training camp pops off.
Yeah.
Then we got another 30 days until opening night pops off. So it's gonna be something nice, man. It's gonna be fun.
Sim, I'm probably not the biggest optimist in the world, but I'll tell you what, man, I am so excited for this season. We're so talented, we're deep. Hopefully Fez Dale has got the right coaching strategies to implement. But I mean, I'm just so excited for the season, man. I'm excited to see Randall and Mitch work together, Peyton, Barrett, Knox. I mean,
yeah, man.
Hey, I love Peyton, man. Peyton was the best signing in the offseason by far, because we needed point guard help, and getting a guy who's 25 years old, guys can learn behind him. DSJ is looking awesome in his videos. Now I know it's videos, but he's really working hard. So it's going to be a hell of a battle in training camp with those point guards.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to see how this coaching staff is going to handle it. And last but least, I didn't mean that. It just came out that way. It just came out that way. I really didn't mean it. I meant to say last but not least, but for some reason didn't come out my mouth.
Let me tell you something. You are lucky we hanged out and I got to know you more, brother, because I would have disrespected you. But I have so much love for your family that I will not disrespect.
All right.
But if this was the streets right now, if this was the streets, I would have cut your ass and made you some change.
Okay,
I forgot what my man Nito Brown said.
Okay. Okay. See, you're talking crazy now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get you up here to get a nice little introduction and say hi.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? And you come in, speaking gibberish.
Push this narrative like I'm the bad one. When you be doing the little slights, you be doing the slights. But anyways, what's going on, brother? What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling, man. I'm good. I'm feeling good. You better. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling real good.
Feeling good, man. I like the video earlier. Shout out to Tony Crow and shout out to Guillermo. Guillermo switched up. He had a beard in the video. Now he's like a baby face, looking like a 90s R&B singer. But shout out to him. Expectations of the coaching staff, man. I think we had people, I don't know, people might not like it, but I thought we had a very underrated good coaching staff last year. I think everybody was on the same page, and that, to me, including the front office and the coaching staff of development. Now we just got to go to the next level of, executing and doing the right things. I kind of wanted, people might not like this, but I kind of wanted, what's my man's name? He just signed with the Clippers. What's the dude name, Sim?
Who?
Ty Lue.
Oh, Ty Lue.
I kind of wanted Ty Lue was. I thought I kind of wanted him. I thought that would been very. I thought it would have been very good for the kids to get like a somebody like Ty Lue in there with Fizz, and I thought that would have been pretty dope. But he went with Doc, so can't really knock him for that.
All right.
I think we got a good coaching staff, man. I always liked the That guy that played with Kevin Durant, Ivory.
We're about to get into it. You know, you jumping like six.
Oh, my bad.
You're like six subjects ahead, bro.
Sim, why do you always do this, man? Why do you always make me sound like I'm the crazy one? I don't like this, man.
All I'm saying is you're jumping ahead. We didn't even. I mean, we're about to start naming and breaking down some of the coaches. You jumping way ahead. Talk about I like this coach. I like that coach. Can we get to the coach first, and then you let me know if you like or dislike the coach and what you think about the coach? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Let's start the show, man. Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's start. That sounds like a good idea because you're holding me up right now.
Oh, I do. Oh, no.
You're holding me up right now.
Start this out.
You know what I'm saying?
Start this out. Do what you got.
Holding me up. Sometimes I gotta just keep you muted, man. Cause you be holding me up.
Yeah, you can't mute this. I'm too cute to be muted, man.
Oh boy.
Too cute.
All right, just for that, taking you out of here. Muted. Muted because that was not a good look with what you just said. Sorry for you. Anyway, Knicks family, here we go, man. Do me a favor. If you like this show and you like what we're getting ready to talk about, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell. You'll be notified anytime I go live, drop a video, or post in my community section. So make sure you do that right now. Hit me with that thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? So we can get everybody coming in here talking about. We get everybody in here talking about the Knicks coaches. So let's get into it. All right. And we're going to start with the most recent news. Then we'll back up a little bit and then we'll come back to anything that's recent. I don't know if there's anything else recent, but the most recent news are that the Knicks promoted Mike Miller. Okay, for those of you who know, Mike Miller was the head coach of the Westchester Knicks. All right, so we'll give you a little bit of history of Mike Miller. And this is Mike Miller on the screen. You can see what the brother looks like. All right, he's an assistant coach with the New York Knicks now. He went to school at Eastern Texas. He's 55 years old. He grew up in Monmouth, Illinois. Excuse me. What's he done in his career so far? Well, he's been at G League, the NBA G League Coach of the Year, which Guillermo alluded to a little bit earlier. He's won the Southland tournament. So let's talk about what this Southland is a little bit, just so people know. All right, the Southland Conference is a NCAA conference, Division I conference. He won the Southland tournament. He was the two-time Southland season champion. He was a Southland Coach of the Year in 1997. Seems like the guy can coach. Maybe he's not your top-tier coach, but probably, tailor-made to be an assistant coach in the NBA. And maybe he'll even be an NBA coach, a head coach. We'll see. What he does in the NBA. But he did a really, really good job with the Westchester Knicks. He really led the Westchester Knicks. He turned that program that, do I want to say turn it around? They just came to be in like 2014. But since 2014, once he became the head coach, he really, led these guys to being a pretty good basketball team. All right, in 2018 and 2019, they were 29-21. All right, they lost in the conference semifinal to Lakeland. In 2017, 2018, they were 32-18. All right, they lost in the semifinals, the conference semifinals, to not the Toronto Raptors, but the Raptors G League team. And it's hard to say too much about wins and losses in the G League with the way players go up and down from the G League to the NBA and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this. When you have those type of issues, things happen and you got players going up and down, you got to have good coaching if you want to have a winning record. You got players moving all around. You might lose your best player to the NBA. You might lose your second best or third best player to the NBA. And if you can continue to win, even though You're losing players every year to the NBA. You have a new roster every single year. It goes, it talks about your scouting, and it also talks about your coaching abilities. All right, coaching experience. He's got years of coaching experience. In 89-90, he was an assistant with Western Illinois. 90-91, was an assistant with Sam Houston. 91 and 94 with Texas State, he was an assistant. Then 94 to 2000, he was the head coach at Texas State. 2000 to 2005, he was an assistant at Kansas State. From 2005 to 2012, he was the head coach at Eastern Illinois. 2012 to 2013, he was an assistant with the Spurs. And obviously, I skipped a year somewhere, but from 2015 to 19, he was the head coach of the Westchester Knicks. And now he's an assistant coach with the New York Knicks. And I think we knew this for a while, right? We knew for a while that he was going to be the assistant coach. And I think a lot of people like the move. I think a lot of people feel that he's going to bring his development abilities, because players that went to the Westchester Knicks, they did develop. I mean, Dotson played in, with the Westchester Knicks. Alonzo Trier played there a little bit. These guys did develop and become NBA players. Now, how much did they develop there? Who knows? I don't know. It's hard to say. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to say, because, these guys may have had the talent from the beginning, but I think Mike Miller did a good job, and he should be a positive addition to the coaching staff. And I feel like, he's probably replacing Howard Isley, who was on the Knicks coaching staff for a few years. If you look at the Knicks coaching staff right now, I don't believe we have anybody left from the Phil Jackson era. Anybody. I don't think there's a coach left from the Phil Jackson era. All right, so that right there is the newest news for the New York Knicks. The most recent news, the newest news, the most recent news, the most up-to-date news for the New York Knicks is that Mike Miller has been hired as an assistant coach. And I want to know what you guys think about it. Just give it to me real quick. All right? We don't need a long dissertation on Mike Miller. You know what I'm saying? I know Isaiah probably tried to give us a long dissertation on Mike Miller, and he doesn't even know. I'm pretty sure he's on Wikipedia right now trying to find some information so he can spew it out. All right? But, Isaiah, I'm coming to you, man. Mike Miller.
What's up, Sim, man? Why you keep disrespecting me, man?
I'm just asking you about Mr. Miller, bro. And I'm not talking about Mike Miller that knocks down threes. I'm talking about Mike Miller that was the head coach of the Westchester Knicks and is now an assistant coach with the New York Knicks.
I see what you're talking about Wikipedia. I wasn't going to go on Wikipedia.
I know you were going to go on Wikipedia.
I wasn't going to go on Wikipedia, Mike. So don't do. We're not going to do this in front of people. We're not going to do this in front of people. Anyways, I tell you what though, I thought that was a very good move when it happened. I was a big fan of Mike Miller, like since the last 2 years I've been a fan of him. So what he's done with the G League team and how he's been developing our players, and how that's good coaching. People I don't think really give that a lot of notice because of the losing. But for the players that come out of the D League and to come to the team and still work within our system that we had, I thought that was very big, and Mike Miller didn't get a lot of recognition for that, which he should have, because it was a good job. And the Knicks, the Winchester Knicks, to me, them and the Raptors.
Westchester, not Winchester.
Oh, Westchester, Westchester.
Westchester, not Winchester.
What was I saying?
Didn't you say Winchester?
I said Winchester. Oh,
it sounded like you said Winchester.
My bad, man. It's Winchester's big over here. Okay, we used to make the guns out here. Sorry, Westchester. Yeah, the Westchester Knicks, man. I mean, I think people forget that like the Raptors and the Westchester are really the two best G League teams. Like up and the Warriors are really good too. But they're like the really good best G League team, man. And Mike Miller deserves a lot of credit. That's why I'm really excited.
The first Mexican American
coaching staff, because I think he's going to be really great for the players. the veterans and the rookies to be on this team. So really excited for Mike Miller, man. Really excited for him.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I didn't need Wikipedia for that either.
I mean, maybe you did, man. I don't know. But anyway, it's not Winchester. It's the Westchester Knicks. Go ahead, Nate.
Man, I just love how he hates Isaiah. Man, that just makes my day. It's hilarious.
That's my guy, though. That's my dude, though. But.
I know it is. So small world about Mike Miller. Mike Miller actually coached my alma mater, Texas State in San Marcos here. I had no idea. What years did you say he coached at Texas State?
Texas State, Mike Miller, from 1994 to 2000. Oh,
wow. Okay. So I wonder if he coached like Jeff Foster. I don't know when Jeff Foster came out, but he was like one of the best players at Texas State to come out. But anyways, just thought that was a small world situation there. So my thoughts on Mike Miller is I knew he was going to be brought up on the staff because of just the success he's had in the G League developing players. And that's what basically the mantra of the Knicks is, developing players. And Mike Miller deserves a lot of credit for developing Trier, helping Kadeem Allen, other stuff like that. But here's the thing too, is I think he's brought up because they want him to learn behind Fez Dale. Now, I'm not saying anything, but if something happens with Fez Dale and Fez Dale gets the boot, they could very well groom this guy to have a consideration for head coach.
You think so?
Because he's already coached under a pro team, so he's got some experience, and he's brought up players that have done well in the pros, or at least for the team. So I think that this might be a kind of a quiet move to put some heat on Fez Dale to say, hey, you got to get your stuff together and really start winning with this team. Because if not, we might be bringing your heir apparent right behind you. So, he's going to probably learn by Fez Dale for the next couple of years. And I think if it doesn't work with Fez Dale, this guy very well could be in consideration for the head coaching job.
Okay. Well,
if it doesn't pan out, I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying.
No, I hear you.
I'll read between the lines a little bit.
I hear you.
Because he's got coaching experience.
The Knicks do have other coaches, and we're going to look at those coaches. Coaches who have head coaching experience. Now that
this guy's got more pedigree with the Knicks. Is what I'm saying. Like as far as developing those players, and
Okay. All right. So. All right. Maybe we'll see. Anybody else want to talk about Mike Miller? Want to throw anything in there about Mike Miller before we move on to the next guy? If not, then we'll get you on the way back around. All right. The next guy I want to talk about. It's Caleb Canales. Hopefully I said his name correctly. All right. He is a young coach. All right. He's not younger than Royal Ivy, but he's a young coach. As a matter of fact, at one point, he was the youngest head coach in the NBA, interim head coach in the NBA at one point. He went to school, Texas Arlington. So another Texas guy, Nate. All right, he's 41 years old. He's from Laredo, Texas. I don't know how far that is from you. Career highlights. He is the first Mexican-American head coach in NBA history. So big shout out to him for that. He played no professional basketball, and that's okay. That's not a requirement. In my opinion, that's not a requirement to being an NBA head coach. Some people, listen, just because you're a great player doesn't mean that you're going to be a great head coach. Or just because you're a player doesn't mean that you're going to be a good coach in the NBA. All right, so he has no professional basketball experience. Coaching experience, but neither did Mike Miller. Coaching experience. Now, this is he came from high school ranks. And I'm going to talk about why I really do like the fact that he came from high school ranks. I really think it's a positive that he came from high school ranks. And I'll talk about it. All right. In 01-02, he coached at Martin High School as an assistant. 02-03, United High School as an assistant. In 03-04, he was an assistant at Texas Arlington, his alma mater. From 2008 to 2012, he was an assistant with the Portland Trail Blazers. In 2012, he became the interim head coach for the Portland Trail Blazers. At the time, he was the youngest head coach in the NBA. You figure that's 2012. That's 7 years ago. He was 34 years old as the interim head coach. That's a pretty big feat for a guy that's 34 years old. From 2013 to 2018, he was an assistant coach with the Mavericks. And then in 2018, he was hired by the New York Knicks as an assistant coach. He does describe his coaching style as being someone who is flexible, willing to coach the players, not just the system, but coach the players, right? And build your team or build your style or build your system or whatever it is around the players that you have. Let's take a listen. We're just going to take a quick listen to Coach Canales about being the first Mexican-American NBA coach. Let's take a quick listen.
To be the first Mexican-American NBA coach, it is a blessing, a privilege, an honor, but more importantly, I think it's a big-time responsibility. Our game is a global game. If it's basketball without borders, if it's games in London and Mexico City, they just do a great job of having the big picture in mind, you know, in conjunction with our foundation, Assist 13, back home in Laredo, Texas. You know, one of the things we preach to the kids every summer through basketball camps is to dream, but not only to dream, but to dream big. Somebody said if nobody's laughing at your dreams, you're not dreaming big enough, and I think that's very important. You know, that's the one of the main messages and one of the main visions we have with Assist 13. My two biggest role models were my parents. You don't understand what they're doing, I think, until you get older. The hard work, the dedication, the having two jobs, you know, the no excuse attitude stays in us as we grow older, and obviously that's kind of what we try to give to our kids.
Right, ladies and gentlemen.
To be the first Mexican-American NBA coach, it is...
There we go. I don't want the guy talking over me as I'm trying to talk a little bit more. But anyway, I like the fact, I really do like the fact that he coached high school basketball. And this is why. I don't know if you recall, but a while back, some streams a while back, I talked about how many young kids come into the NBA. I talk about it all the time, but how many young kids come into the NBA? And at the time, the Knicks had so many young players, right? And we didn't really have that many vets on the team. One or two vets on the team. But I talked about maybe the Knicks should hire someone who understands how to work with high school players, high school kids, because so many... Mitchell Robinson came to the Knicks just basically out of high school. Frank Ntilikina, 19 years old, came to the Knicks basically out of high school. Kevin Knox came to the Knicks basically out of high school. R.J. Barrett, Iggy. These guys are basically, I mean, they spent a couple of months in college. So I think it's important to have a coach that has experience. And I'm not just talking age-wise. I understand he's 41 years old. So, yes, that makes him a little bit younger. Not makes him. He's a little bit younger. Right? Just because you're young doesn't automatically mean that you're going to relate and understand how to deal with players who are of this age. But he's had high school coaching experience. And I think it really will help this team, although he's been there since last season, but it'll help this team because we have so many young players on the team that are coming straight from high school. He understands the way that they're thinking. He gets it. To be a high school coach, you've got to be able to relate to these players in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? So that you can help them along with, you know, just maturity issues and how to grow up and be a young man. So I really do like the fact that he's one of the coaches on the squad and he's got high school coaching experience. That really does. That gives me. Excuse me while I fix my collar. Thank you. That gives me a little bit more, not a little bit. It just gives me more confidence with this coaching staff that you have someone who can sit down and talk to these guys on a high school level. You know what I mean? So I think that's important. I really do think that's important. Guillermo, I'm gonna come to you, man. I want to, just get your opinion. What do you think?
It remains to be seen because the whole, and I'm not getting on the fact that he's a first Mexican American coach, blah blah. But if we go into the season and they keep using that as his calling card, then that causes some concerns. Like, I want to hear exactly what are the attributes that he has. Like like you said, if he's the type of guy that he knows how to relate to the younger guys coming in, the kids who are coming in with the deer in the headlights, these rookies are coming in, and he knows how to relate and get them up to speed to NBA game, plus being able to relate to them as these young guys, and yes, I'm all for it. I just want to see. I don't necessarily know what he brings. I don't know who's worked with him. I really just don't know. I'm ignorant of it. So if he's worked with somebody, please inform me. But I just want to hear what exactly is he bring, because it's nice to be first Mexican American, blah blah. We could hang our hats on that for like the time being. But I really want to know when he's coming in. Is he going to be the guy to help make the transition? Is going to help the guy to help people shoot better, shift their feet a little bit better, rebound better? What is it that he's bringing to the table? Because I feel like every guy on this another thing, he's going to help. Underrated thing a lot of good coaches do, or assistant coaches do, is help these guys be able to read film. If he's that type of guy, he can help you read film better. Hey, Mitch Robinson's supposed to be here, or Knox is supposed to be here during this play, blah blah. If you get these young guys to understand it at a quicker pace versus just leaving them to be, I appreciate it, but I don't know. So
I'm going to say this: somewhere along the line, he has to be very, very competent, in my opinion. He's 41 years old. Well, hold up, listen up. He's 41 years old. He's 41 years old, right? And he had his first NBA coaching job in 2008. So that means he was about 30 years old when he got his first NBA coaching job. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty good to get your first coaching job, assistant coaching job, whatever it is, at the age of 30 years old. I think that's pretty good. I think it means that people recognize the talent. They recognize some talent. They have to recognize some talent if they're hiring you, to work with men that obviously there's some men younger than you, but men that are older than you as well. Like I'm talking like 6-7 years older than you. So I think that someone somewhere must see some talent, some coaching ability. Where he actually fits, I'm not sure, but I don't want to leave out the social aspect of, and I know that he's a young black man and he's a Mexican American, but I don't know if that matters as much when it just comes to, being able to relate to just a younger mentality. You may not relate to all of the cultural things that go on, but just the younger mentality. But you have a guy there that can relate to the cultural things. We're going to talk about him too. But just being able to have that younger, understand the high school mentality, because these guys are coming in at such a young age, almost like that guidance counselor type of a dude.
I'll say one thing, Sim. I know of a coach at St. Francis in Brooklyn, Jamal Womack. I played ball with him, pretty cool guy. And he told me with a coaches, I was like, yo, why don't you, he's assistant coach right now for St. Francis. And we're talking about that whole getting up to the NBA and the college stuff and blah, 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 right? And he said that, for some coaches that if you're just good with a certain coach, like right now, he's good with the head coach of St. Francis. So if that guy goes to another school, he'll be good. Like he can, kind of latch on and keep going with that guy to where he goes. So I'm not saying this guy's not good, but you can have it where a guy's just kind of moving around, not necessarily off of talent, because he's a guy who's workable. He's a guy that he has good relationships with people, but he may not necessarily be. I'm not saying that's the case with this guy. I hope it's not. So that could be the case. We got to be a lot of guys have circling around, and it's because of who they know versus what they know is why they get on. And with the whole Mexican American thing, I agree with you. If he could relate to the young guys, that's fine. Maybe a Mexican American thing. But I've also seen some of these, it sounds weird. Some of the not trying to be great, but white guys who kind of come from a different background relate even better to some of these kids, because it's not the fact that these guys necessarily need somebody to relate to, even though I think they do need some of that, especially the assistant coach, but they need somebody that they will listen to. So if he's a guy that they listen to, because he can be relatable. There are a lot of good assistant coaches who don't do anything, but it's like, oh yeah, man, I love him. He's a good guy, blah, blah. You hear these NBA players like, oh yeah, I know him, blah, blah. And it's like that guy never really amounts to anything versus he could be a guy, oh yeah, he's a good coach. And you see that he's a good coach. And it may not be all these platitudes you give him, but he's a good, effective coach. So what we need is a guy who's effective. I agree with the relating thing, but if he's effective, that's all I care about.
Well, but I think I think just like any team, if you have a coaching team, everyone's going to play a different role, right? Everyone has, a few different roles that they've got to play. And your role, depending on who you have there as coaches, your role may be a little bit different in the way that you help these guys develop on and off the floor. You know what I mean? Because being off the floor can sometimes, a lot of times, be just as important as, what's happening on the floor. Let me see who else wants to get in on this conversation real quick. Nate.
Hey man, so another small world situation. My friend knows the coach personally because she grew up in Laredo, and she actually told me that he was on Fez Dale staff, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Let me say this, because I listen to both sides of y'all's point, and all I want to say is that, listen, if you're on an NBA coaching staff, you know X's and O's, or you have knowledge of basketball. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't know. I don't know.
Come on. At 30 years old, if they even trusted him to give him a chance to even coach an NBA team, he's got to have credentials. He's got to know knowledge of basketball. I don't think you just throw somebody randomly off the streets and say, hey, go coach this NBA team, even though he didn't get asked after that, still. I
agree with you. I think the guy probably has some knowledge of basketball.
Yes. And the thing is, what she told me about him is that he is a family man first and foremost. Laredo's a very tightly close-knit area down south near the border. He's a very family man, but also too, he's very open to creating cultures and tying people together.
Okay.
That's one of his biggest attributes. And I'll say this, because anybody who's coached on the team, there's not every coach has to be all X's and O's. Sometimes you need a coach that's just more relatable for the young players. Like you mentioned, all our players are young. We need players. We need a coach that maybe if Fez Dale's, coming on hard on these young guys and maybe they get upset or something, this guy might step in and just say, hey, man, he's trying to make you a better player, because you know how young people are, man. They get very defensive. They get criticized and all that stuff. So Caleb's kind of more of the personality coach in a sense. I'm not saying he can't coach. I'm telling you, he wouldn't have asked to be coached on an NBA team if they didn't feel or believe in that he could do it.
Right.
And the reality is, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you, him being Mexican is a disadvantage, because the fact is, how many Mexican coaches are there in the NBA or assistants? None.
You're saying it's a disadvantage in what aspect?
In the sense that he'll never get a coaching job. He'll always be an assistant.
You think so?
I honestly really believe, because for one thing, for being Hispanic and Mexican, basketball is not a number one sport for us. It's more soccer than anything.
Okay.
How many Mexican players do you see in the NBA?
Oh. I don't know if that's a matter of. I'm just saying. I'm going to defer to you on this subject, because obviously, I'm not Mexican, so I can't speak from that standpoint.
And let me say this. This is my last point. Let me say this. If that wasn't the case, then when he did coach the Blazers, why didn't they give him a shot? Because I've seen assistants get, he didn't do that bad of a job. I mean, why did they give him a shot? Why did they give him a couple of, maybe a couple of years to try to see what he could do?
I don't know.
Because he was just a fill-in. He was just a fill-in for the time being,
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. All right. Good conversations tonight, I think, man. Good conversations. As we delve further than just basketball players and move into the coaches and how these coaches can impact the players. And it's important, even as we're, even talking about race a little bit is important because it means something. It does. You know what I mean? Because the way that these players interact with people on and off the court, every experience that these guys get, especially when they're young, is going to help them to develop into a professional player. You know what I mean? And it's going to have an impact on and off the court, so it's definitely these coaches are just on all levels, just important. The next coach we want to get to, another young guy, Royal Ivey. And this is who Isaiah was beginning to speak about earlier. So I'll get back to Isaiah when we come back because I know he's going to want to, go ahead and get his point across. But he's another young guy that can relate to the kids. And not only can he relate to the kids, but he's probably he's from Harlem. So he's come from similar circumstances as a lot of the kids that come on our team. When you talk about, some of these guys that's on the team, not all of them, right? Maybe the Alonzo Triers. I'm not even going to say RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. RJ Barrett came from a different type of a household. Iggy probably came from a different type. I don't know his whole background, but the Mitchell Robinsons, Alonzo Triers, that grew up in the States, and you can probably understand where they lived. He can probably relate to those guys a little better than somebody, maybe some of the other coaches. And he's 37 years old. So he can sit down and have real conversations with those guys. You know what I mean? Real conversations about real life stuff. Things that impact young men coming up in the NBA. You know what I mean? So, and be able to actually speak their language. That's important. And I like the fact, listen, he went to school in Texas. He's 37. He's from Harlem. He's a New York guy. Okay? He's got 2 Big 12 all-defensive team. He's been on the all-defensive team twice in the Big 12. He's a defensive guy, defensive player. We talk about bringing defense to the team. You need coaches that can specialize and think defense. Royal Ivey is one of them. Not only can he speak defense, he can play defense, he can teach defense, and he can relate to the guys. Okay. He played professional basketball from 2004 to 2014. Played with the Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks, Philadelphia 76ers, with the Bucks again, the Thunder, Philadelphia 76ers again, back to the Thunder, and then he went to China last year as a professional player. He's been an assistant for about 4 to 5 years. 14-16, he was an assistant with the Oklahoma City Blue, which is their G League team. Then he was an assistant from 16 to 18, 2016 to 2018 with the OKC Thunder. And he's been an assistant with the New York Knicks since 2018. A lot of people rave about Mr. Ivey. And, I think that, having another young guy is good. So far, we've had Mike Miller, who was 55 or whatever he is. He's 55 years old. And then you got 2 young guys. You know what I'm saying? I like that mix. And we're going to get to some other guys that's, we're going to talk about some of these other guys. And they got different age ranges. That's a good mix so that it's a good mix. You need to have that mix, I think. I mean, I think, It's good. It's good. So Royal Ivy, another assistant coach, young assistant coach for the Knicks, who, I think a lot of people rave and really do like Royal Ivy. Before we get to any comments, I want to give a shout out to a couple of people. Big shout out to Chester Chetnik Nason. Thank you for the super chat. He said Mike Miller proved his skill. The Westchester Knicks played well. Yes, I agree with you. And I think it's well deserved that he's now an assistant coach with the Knicks. And for ladies and gentlemen, you guys didn't get to see it on the video, but you probably will sometime in October. In about a month and a half, you're gonna get to see this video. That's gonna be out. Me and some of the VIP members we worked with. I can't name the company right now. You'll know later on. But anyway, my man Chester was out there hooping with us, ladies and gentlemen. And Chester, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. My man Chester is 71 years old, and he still was out there hooping with us. I hope when I'm 71 years old, I'm in as good a shape as Chester. Chester was playing with us. He was getting his in. He even ripped the shirt off and got out there and started hooping. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Big shout out to my man Chester. Kareem, thank you for the super chat. He said 2 super chats. Thank you for the 2 super chats. He said, what's up, Sin? Been working hard. Yes, keep working hard, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Keep working hard. And City for Real, thank you for the super chats. The second of the day, because you gave me a super chat earlier. He said, I think I need an Elf of Wall Street bucket hat. Coach Fizz got to shock the world, take our youth, and transform them into stars. New York Knicks all day. Hey, like I said, I'm working with my man, Mogul Talk Apparel. We working, and we're gonna have some nice designs up for these bucket hats. So trust me, they are coming. Thank you all for the super chats. I definitely appreciate it. All right, so now let's get back and let's talk about Royal Ivy once again. Well, I want to hear what some people think about it. Rob the Knicks, City for Real. You guys want to comment on Royal Ivy at all? Is there anything you want to say about the young man? Yeah. Let me see. I'm coming to you real quick. Go ahead, man. You there, City? City for real?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here. Hey, to tell you, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I don't really know much about the Royal Ivy guys, so I can't really speak my piece or say much about them. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Hey, that's what's up.
I'm keeping it 100. Like I don't want to say. I can't really say nothing because I don't know much about the guy.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
All right, bet. Well, let's see what Guillermo got to say.
You could let him.
Guillermo, go ahead, man.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Isaiah was bugging me to. He asked if he get back into the chat. But the Royal Ivy, I mean, he came from the Sixers. I mean, I'm not trying to get on him, but what did he really do last year? I mean, with regards to the point guard play, was that more Fez Dale or because even then the point guard play wasn't? It was just more so of guys improving their scoring a little bit, but it wasn't any better decision making or anything like that. So I'm not against the Royal Ivy thing. I guess he has a good relationship with Fez Dale, and he's still learning. But the guy I really want, I don't know where the hell he is, but if he get back into coaching, the guy I really want was Andre Miller. I think his mindset in terms of facilitating and getting guys in certain spots. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to extend it too long, but if the Knicks can somehow reach out to him or get a guy like that because I've always wondered why he hasn't gone into coach. Or I haven't seen him in it, but I think he'd be excellent. And I'm not trying to get on Roy Ivy, but I mean, he retired after 2015 from the Sixers, and he might just be a guy who's trying to come up and learn. And he has good character, all that stuff. And
he retired. Fine, but he retired from the OKC Thunder 2004.
I'm sorry, OKC Thunder.
Well,
but he
yeah.
No. It was.
He went to China. He was after he played for the Thunder, he went to China. He played for the 76ers 2012 to 2013.
Okay.
Then he played for the Thunder. Then after he played for the Thunder, must have been like half a year or whatever. Then he went to China and played, and 2014 was his final year.
Okay, got you. My bad. But yeah. I guess, but given how Fizzo likes to play heavy on ball guard, heavy ball usage by the guard, I would like to see him get a guy who has a slightly different mind to him. They were talking about in the chat, Mark Jackson and Kerr, and I think you need a guy like a Kerr type of a guy who can think outside the box in terms of getting the ball in other guys' hands and play more off ball. And I just don't know. I'm not putting onus on Roy Ivo, but I would just like to see a guy who has a little bit more of a expansive mindset.
And, I don't know if that's his role. He was more of like a combo guard. I don't know if his role is really to teach the point guards how to be a point guard. I really feel his role is probably to teach the guards how to play defense, because he was a defensive guy.
Really? Well, it didn't show last year, so
I mean, yeah, but how can you judge anything?
Well, I'll say individually from the guard position, I didn't really see outside of Frank, but Frank has always had that, and even last year he kind of slipped down in defense. I guess that's the stuff he brings, but I'm just saying, I would like to see a creative mind brought in as an assistant coach who can work with point guards, because that's what we need in this team, where we have a glut of guys who can run the point guard position, and not just the typical point guard, but guys like R.J. Barrett, even Randall. I would like to see a coach come in and be able to give us more diverse looks from the point guard position. And I'm not getting over Ivy. I guess it's a good look for him, but I would just like to see more. Namely Andre Miller. But
all right, well. All right, Isaiah, here we go. Now you can speak your piece about Royal.
Yeah, man. I personally always liked Royal Ivy. I thought he was a good transition from a player, because he's fairly young. And I think he's, like I said, he's a good middle ground for players, because I think he understands young players. Because I think he's like in his early 30s.
37.
Oh yeah, he's still young. He's 37, so I think he's a good middle ground for players, and and coaching. I think that's very good of him. And like you said, if he's a defensive stopper, then or was a defensive player, it's really good. Again, you can't really coaching could only go so far. Coaching could definitely go so far when it comes to players and executing it. It's very hard. Yeah, but I always liked him. I do think eventually one day, I think he can maybe get to the. I don't think he's going to be a head coach, but I think he can be a top assistant for a good team one day. And I like him on the team. I really do. I think he's going to be a very solid coach for us and everything. I will say this though, that I do agree with Grandma. I would like Andre Miller. I would like Andre Miller on the team to teach the young guards. Because there's always one thing I was always mad about, especially after our 2012 season when we won 54 games and Jason Kidd retired. I really wanted Mike Wishon to push to get him. I always wanted that. I wanted Mike Wishon to push to get him, but then the Nets offered him the whole head coaching job. So, of course, Jason Kidd wasn't going to turn that down.
Yeah, well, they probably offered him that job before he even retired as a player. He probably
they already offered it to him. So. But I do always think, I feel like I think that's one thing we're missing really, is like a very, like I said, I think like Gilmore said, like Andre Miller, like a point guard like that. No to Mark Jackson. Keep him away from the team. That's a whole different, we could just talk about that all hours long, but keep Mark Jackson away from this team. But get a veteran like point guard like Andre Miller. I would like that for this team. I think that'd be very good, especially with the guards we have. I think that'd be a good move if there's any more coaching spots left. I think that would be very good for the team.
Right now there's 6 assistant coaches, and then you got the head coach. I don't know if there's any more even left. I think Mike Miller took Howard Isley's spot. So, Viv, you want to get in on this?
Ivy has history with
Viv.
So Sim, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say Royal Ivy has some history with this. Dating back from his days, I think when Ivy was playing with the Hawks, Fizz was his assistant coach.
Right.
So there is some history there. And then obviously the whole Durant thing from like Royal Ivy was, I guess, his teammate or coach or whatever during those years. So some recruiting pitch. But no, I've heard good things about him, and I think I think the last couple seasons or whatever before he came with us, he was doing work with the G League squad or something. I think it was OKC. So it showed that he was capable of developing or at least working with younger players. So I think that's a good sign. I think the way Fizz set up his coaching staff, it's not like he didn't go with like just his people per se, except for one guy. I mean, obviously you have Keith Smart, but that's, every coach has like one guy, right? But the rest, he filled the rest of the coaching staff with people who actually were known to be, like the developmental type of coaches or the guys who put their work in. So it's, I think Royal Ivy fits that mold. And I think, the fact that he's also a native New Yorker, it also adds a little bit of like a swag, or not swag, but more like, it's just the extra touch, right? So, I mean, that also helps too.
Right. Next we have, and I'm going to keep you live for a second, Viv, since you just got in. Next we have Pat Sullivan, assistant coach. Local guy, too, from New Jersey. Career highlights, 3 Final Fours with the University of North Carolina, 1993 national champion. Coaching experience, he's coached in the NBA for 14 years or something like that. He was an assistant with the Detroit Pistons in 04-05. With the New Jersey Nets, he was an assistant from 05 to 08. In Detroit, 08 to 2011. And with the Wizards from 2013 to 2016. With the Clippers from 2016 to 2018. And then with the Knicks from 2018 till now. And again, you see a guy that, has some experience with playing that good, tough defense. When you talk about the Clippers from 16 to 18, Doc Rivers is a defensive guy, you know what I mean? So you're bringing in a guy that's not bringing in, they brought him in last year, but a guy who, has some of that type of experience. We can only hope that we begin to see it boil over onto the players. I mean, obviously, you got to have players that want to and can play defense and kind of have a natural instinct to play defense, right? You're not going to, if a guy just doesn't play defense, it's going to be hard, no matter who you bring in, to get that person to play defense. But, when you talk about when you look at the guys that they've brought in, and I know, they, all these guys were signed last year, but I don't think we ever really broke it down like this and really looked at them. A lot of the guys do have a defensive mentality, like a Pat Sullivan, and understands how to win, right? He won a championship with the University of North Carolina, three Final Fours. So you need that kind of mentality around, you know what I mean? What do you think, Viv?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that he's on multiple coaching staffs shows that he's also a type of guy who's adaptable and that can work with different people. Being with Doc Rivers' staff adds credibility too. So, it's like someone that can give a high high recommendation for someone like him to leave his staff to go work for the Knicks. That's a compliment, right? So,
yes.
That's a very high thing. Obviously, working with Scott Perry, it's someone that working in Detroit for those many X amount of years, is someone that Scott Perry knew pretty well. So, having that connection, I think that made a big difference, I think. It seems like it's, another hard worker. And I think, someone that can work with the staff, right? So that doesn't have an ego and that can coach. Obviously, last year is whatever it was last. I mean, it is what it is last year, but now that we got a different team, maybe we'll see these guys in action a little better.
Yeah. And, hopefully it's, when you look at some of the veterans that we have on the team, whatever it is that the coaches are teaching, the veterans maybe can grasp it a little bit better and be able to help the young guys a little bit better on the floor. Because when you have a team of just all young guys and the coach may say something and nobody gets it, and then young guys, even if you do get it, you may not be able to explain it.
You know what it is though? Is
That
that
can be difficult, right? Because players,
yeah,
no matter what level you go to, I don't care what level you go to, players are going to respond to players a little bit differently and maybe even a little bit better than they respond to other coaches, to coaches, right? Because it's peers. You know what I'm saying? So you usually respond a little bit better to your peers than someone who has, the supposed authority over you. Sometimes you respond better to your peers. So you've got to have, peers that can, whatever it is the coaching philosophy is, you need to have players that can help to teach that coaching philosophy as well. You know what I mean? Understand the philosophy, are going to abide by or play with that philosophy, buy into that philosophy, and then, teach some of the younger guys that may not be able to explain it as well, need a little bit more learning and help, to comprehend, whatever that philosophy is. So,
right. I mean, you know what it is, Tim, is that I think you'll see it, when you see certain players, I guess, play a little better, and, guys like that are not on the team anymore, guys like Noah Vonleh or whatever, they kind of, even whether it was like not directly, they kind of mention how, they played a little bit better here in New York. So obviously some of their credit has to be done with whatever is done behind the scenes with the coaching staff. So, that has to be, that definitely will come into play, when you look at some of these players from year to year. But I think the mark of a good coach, the mark of a really good head coach is the way his assistants work with the head coach. And, if David Fez Dale wants to be a good coach, especially with the Knicks, a lot of the work will be, how, the assistant coaches work with him to develop, whatever mind frame or, he wants to build a team. So it all works in action. You see with all the great coaches, all the great teams, right? They have their assistant coaches, and some of them obviously will get jobs with in head coaching positions, but they came under a certain coach. So, this is a nice little test, I guess, for Fez Dale to see what happens.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add anything in there on who are we just talking about? Oh, Pat Sullivan. Anybody else want to add their little 2 cents in? All right. Then we're going to move on, and we are going to go to the next guy because we don't want to spend all day. Judd Butchler. Some of you guys probably remember Judd Butchler, as one of those guys, one of the bench warmers that played with the Chicago Bulls back in the day. He's 51 years old. He went to Arizona. He hails from San Diego, California. 3-time NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls. It was the first team All Pac-10 in 1990. Those are his career highlights. He played professional basketball with the Nets, 90 to 91. San Antonio in 1991. From 91 to 94 with Golden State. I don't know exactly what happened there. Maybe, some trades or something like that moved around. 94 to 98, he was with Chicago. 99 to 01, Detroit. 2001 with Phoenix. And 01 to 02, he was with the Orlando Magic. He's been coaching for about 2 years in the NBA. From 16 to 18 with the Los Angeles Lakers. And that should say from 18 to present, he's been coaching with the New York Knicks. I'm not sure what to think about Judd Butchler, to be honest with you. He's a new coach in the NBA. I'm not exactly sure what he brings to the table. I guess, some championship experience maybe he's able to bring to the table and kind of explain to the guys the way the Bulls were back then, right? I'm not sure. I don't know about Judd Butchler. You know what I'm saying? Nisa 8 said a triangle guy. Yeah, he probably is a triangle guy, but he wasn't brought in by Phil Jackson. Right? As a matter of fact, there's nobody left from the Phil Jackson era. So I'm not exactly what Judd Butchler brings to the team. I don't know. Maybe he is. Edward Hunter says a no-nonsense coach. I hope so. I hope that he's no nonsense. He looks a little bit dopey. So I don't know if he's no nonsense, but, maybe he's not dopey. Maybe he just looks dopey to me. You know what I'm saying? When I look at this picture here, You know what I'm saying? I look at that picture, he looks a little bit dopey to me. But maybe he is no nonsense guy. I'm just saying he just looks a little bit dopey. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just not exactly sure what Judd Butler brings to the team. Hopefully he brings something. I'm gonna trust in Coach Fez Dale. You know what I'm saying? That he brings something to the Knicks. Anybody any comments on Judd Butler? Nate? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, the guy won 3 championships, so I mean, he probably played on arguably one of the best teams ever in the history of basketball. So I'm sure he's picked up some things from those winning ways, and teaching these young guys kind of what it takes to be a champion.
I hope so. My only comeback to that would be, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate with you, right? My only comeback to that would be, should we hire Eddie Curry too? I mean, he won a championship with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, but he won 3.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I get what you're saying.
I don't know how much he was. How much was he a part of those championships? How much did he play?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing him play a little bit here and there. I don't know how much he really played.
But he played. But he played with Jordan, right?
Yes, he played with Jordan.
He played with Jordan. He played with Pippen. I mean, he played with Hall of Famers. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that he learned a lot from those players. I promise you. And, because Jordan's just one of those guys that would just drop knowledge to everybody, or try to make them better players.
Was Jordan one of those guys that was going to drop knowledge to everybody? Or was Jordan one of those guys who was like, you better get your ass in gear? I think Jordan was more like, yo, you better get your ass in gear, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, I don't need to tell you where to be on the floor. You better know where to be on the floor.
He'd be straight up honest with them. But I think also, too, Jordan would offer help if needed, I'm sure. I mean, people say he wouldn't do that, but I'm sure he would.
Oh,
he was a hell of a teammate.
Oh, no. I think that was John Paxson and them guys offering help. I don't know.
Okay, well, fine, whatever. Well, the point is what I'm trying to say is that he was around good people that knew the game, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that stuff rubbed off on him.
Okay. And
that he can instill in these young players. Because one thing about young players, they're sponges. They're supposed to sync up everything that they hear, they see, and the guys that want to be great, they're going to take whatever's good that comes out of it and implement that into their own game. That's all I'm saying.
And I see some people in the chat, like Chen is saying, that Jordan offered help to Kobe. Yes, he offered help to Kobe because they were never on the same team. But, playing on the same team, I think it was probably a different experience playing with Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think Jordan, in my opinion, was one of those players that couldn't understand why maybe other people couldn't do the same things that he could. You know what I mean? That's just what I think. I don't know if Jordan was that much help in teaching people where to be.
Well, we don't know. We weren't in the locker room.
I know.
So we don't know.
We don't know. But just the things that I hear about Jordan, I think he was kind of like John Paxson. You better get your little butt in that corner, and when I pass it to you, you better knock it down. If not, you're going to the bench.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I agree with you. I'm sure he picked up a lot of things. The intensity. The preparation. He played about 10 minutes a game, it looks like. So I'm sure he picked up some things that hopefully he can impart on these guys. That would be what you want. You want him to be able to impart some things on these guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be the hope. Looking at Judd Butler. Okay, next. Keith Smart. Now, Keith Smart is Fez Dale's top assistant. That's his guy. You know what I mean? That is his guy. He's been with, they've been together for a while. Keith Smart has been, well, let's just go over. He's 54 years old. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was a WBL champion in 1990, an NCAA champion in 87. He was the NCAA Final Four most outstanding player in 87. He played professional basketball with the Spurs for one season. I think he played like 2 games and scored like 2 points or something in that game. And then from 89 to 97, he played international and semi-pro basketball on, some weird name teams. All over the world. Started coaching in 97. He coached for the Fort Wayne Fury. And then in 2000, he went to the Cavs as an assistant coach. And then he spent maybe a year or so as a head coach for the Warriors. He was there for, from 2003 to 2011. And he spent some time as a head coach there, I think for a year. With the Kings, he was there from 11 to 13. And I think people kind of got it that he's probably not a head coach. I've read a lot about him, and that, part of it was he had some problems with players. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if was he too tough on the players, or was it just personality issues? I don't know. But I think people finally got it, said, you know what? He's probably not a head coach in the NBA. So from 2014 to 2016, he was an assistant coach with the Heat. 16 to 18 with the Grizzlies. 18 until now with the Knicks. And throughout that time, he was, of course, with Coach Fez Dale. This is Coach Fez Dale's guy. This is Coach Fez Dale's right-hand man. You know what I'm saying? Nisa H. Yes. Smart has to push these guys. He's the bad cop. Fizz is the good cop. Okay. I can take that all day long. Because you do need to have. I would rather it be the other way around. Will it work this way? Maybe it does. I would rather the head coach be the bad guy and the assistant coach be the good guy. You know what I mean? That's what I would rather, because from my experience, not even just from coaching, but the bad guy usually gets the most respect because he's the one that everybody has a healthy fear of. He or she, is the person that everybody has a healthy fear of. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of rather have my head coach be the bad cop, one of my assistant coaches be the good cop. But if it works for them, it works for them. We'll see. You know what I mean? We'll see. But that's what I would much rather see. But I do understand, what you're saying. But anyway, Marcus Smart. Keith Smart, that is Fez Dale's right-hand man. Is he a tough guy? I don't know. I hope, somebody has to be a tough guy. Somebody's got to put their foot down. You know what I'm saying? Nisa said we would all like that to be the other way around, but it's just not. And you know what? I might agree with you, Nisa. From what I've seen from Coach Fez Dale, I probably agree with what you're saying. I don't know if that's the right way, and it could be the right way, but I think I agree with you. Anybody want to comment there? And listen, you can call in 516-405-2246. You can call in and, get your point across too. All right. Anybody here want to chime in on that? Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, as far as Keith Smart, there's no doubt that Fez Dale leans on Keith Smart probably more than any assistant. And also, too, probably just his basic knowledge of just what it means to be a coach. Not necessarily, X's and O's, but just how to kind of get him through the life of being a coach, since Fez Dale's kind of only had one stint with the Grizzlies. But I think it opens, you brought up a point, that it opens up a concern with Fez Dale, is that it seems like take Keith Smart for an example. He's more of the tough nose, rugged, kind of grit type of dude. And Fez Dale is not, he's more of the, I hate to use the term car salesman, but he's kind of like the car salesman guy, I don't know. That's going to be interesting, because I think if Fez Dale doesn't stay with the Knicks, it's more so because he wasn't tough enough. I think he connects well with the players. He's a very good guy in general, but you got to be tough on these players. And we didn't see that last year, especially with Hardaway. And that's the concern, is he too nice of a guy? And when is that switch gonna flip? You know, it's kind of like we look at Frank and we say, well, when is that switch gonna flip, or Frank's gonna turn into, you know, a badass who's gonna be like, not be worried about everything people say about him. We don't know if that ever will happen. I don't know if Fez Dale will ever be that tough-nosed type of Gregg Popovich type of coach, right, you know, that has this kind of edge to himself. And that's concerning because, you know, how many nice guy coaches are in the NBA that are successful and are winning at a high rate?
Yeah, and, you know, it sometimes that comes with experience, too, experience and confidence. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I hope so.
Like,
I really do.
Let me tell you, when I first started coaching, I was like 24 years old. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was coaching players at 16. It's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard because you're close. You're almost close in age. You know what I mean? So it's hard to get that respect. Right. You got to find ways. You got to be creative. You got to be smart. You got to stick to whatever your standards are in order to get that respect. But it's hard to get that respect. And it's hard to be that young and understand how to get that respect, how to uphold everything that everything that you want to implement. You've got to be able to say, I put this rule in place and I'm not going to break this rule. And exactly. I'm not saying Fez Dale doesn't do that. I'm just saying, you know, the closer you are in age to the people that you're managing or coaching, it's a little bit more difficult. So as Fez Dale gets a little bit older, gets a little bit more comfortable being a head coach. He's only been a head coach for 2 years. Right. Gets a little bit more comfortable being a head coach. And he gets, you know, the separation of age between him and his players, you know, grows a little bit more. He'll be more comfortable in being that guy that's a little bit more hard-nosed. My concern is this, right? And I got my man Tony Crow on the line, so I want to see what Tony is thinking, right? My concern is this. If Keith Smart is the guy, if he is the guy that puts the foot down, like Nisa is saying in the chat, what happens when Keith Smart isn't there? What happens if, for some reason, Keith Smart leaves the team? Either I don't want to say he's fired, that's Fez Dale's boy, right? But, you know, he has to take a leave of absence for some reason. Or he decides someone offers him a head coaching job. I don't know. But he's no longer there. If he is the guy that puts the foot down, what happens to Fez Dale if he's no longer there? What do you think, Tony?
I'm not too concerned. I think it's okay if Smart is the bad cop and Fizz is the good cop. I don't think Fez Dale is, like, even if he's the good cop, I don't think he's gonna be walked on, disrespected. You know, I think he still has the respect of the team. I look at it more like Fez Dale sending you to detention when you gotta go see Smart.
All right.
Like he has to maintain, you know, everybody, the whole team. So he can't always single out and focus on one individual. So I'm gonna go send you to detention. I'm gonna keep focusing on the rest of the squad. You know, I might have a little conversation with you later, halftime, during the timeout or something. So I kind of look at it that way. I don't think he's gonna get walked on or lose the team per se, like Jeff Hornacek did. Okay. And even Jeff Hornacek wasn't, like, he was still a tough coach. You've seen him scream at players and such. Not saying that's what it takes to be a tough coach, but, you know, he still had his pride too. So I'm not too worried about Fez Dale in that aspect. Like I said, I look at it more like you just sending him to detention. He can focus on you specifically in this moment and then I can keep focusing on the entire team.
Okay. All right. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And, you know, I hope, you know, I really do hope that's the case. As far as some of the other guys that we've mentioned, you have any opinions on those guys?
I like Roy Ivey. I'm not too familiar with the Sullivan guy.
Pat Sullivan.
Who else you named?
Let me see. We named the whole coaching staff. We had Royal Ivey, Pat Sullivan, Judd Butchler, Keith Smart, which who we're talking about now. Mike Miller, the newest hire.
Yeah. I got something to say. Well, Butchler, I heard what you were saying about him. You're not really sure what he brings. I mean, just the experience alone, and the fact that he's not a head coach. You know what I mean? I just take it as him paying his dues, even though he's pretty old. I mean, not trying to shame age, but I think he has experience. He has enough NBA experience to be a help at some point and sometime. You need different perspectives. I don't know what his specialty is. Mike Miller, I like that guy. He did good things down with the G League. I love the fact that Fez Dale never hesitated to give him his props when talking about a player who came up from the G League and then had a good game, or someone asked you about a certain player who moved up. The first thing he would do is credit Mike Miller for having him ready and prepared to, come up to the big team. So I think that in itself says a lot. The fact that they kind of asked him to emulate the same system that the team was running in the Garden, and he did that and did it successfully, I think that said a lot as well.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. I think that Mike Miller is going to be good with the team. Lastly, I'm going to keep you on the line, Tony. Lastly, I'm going to get into David Fez Dale, because obviously this is who most people probably want to hear about. All right, we're going to get into David Fez Dale. But we went over the coaching staff. We talked about, we talked about Caleb Canales, Mike Miller, Royal Ivey, Pat Sullivan, Judd Butchler, Keith Smart, and now David Fez Dale, the head coach of the New York Knicks. All right. And I think most of us know about David Fez Dale, but we'll go over this stuff anyway. And I should have capitalized the S in San Diego. My bad. But he went to San Diego. He's 45 years old, grew up in Los Angeles, California. He's a two-time NBA champion with the Miami Heat as an assistant coach. Didn't play any professional basketball. That's okay. From 98 to 2002, he was an assistant coach at San Diego. From 2002 to 2004, he was an assistant coach at Fresno State, and I spelled Fresno wrong too. From 2003 to 2004, I don't know what I did there. He was an assistant with Golden State. Matter of fact, I'll correct this right now. From 2002 to 2000, well, you know what? Wikipedia. See, I used Wikipedia and it got me all messed up. Anyway, from 2002 to 2003, he was with Fresno State. 2003 to 2004, he was an assistant coach with Golden State. Probably where he met Keith Smart and their philosophies lined up. From 2004 to 2008, he was an assistant coach with the Atlanta Hawks. From 2008 to 2016, he was an assistant coach with the Miami Heat. That's where he won his 2 NBA championships. And then from 2016 to 2017, he was the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. And we all know what went down in Memphis from 18 till now, till present. He's been a head coach of the New York Knicks. David Fez Dale basically, he's been a coach for a year and a half almost. Let's put it like that. This is going to be 2.5 years, going on 3 years. He is a newbie when you talk about being a head coach. And there is so much to learn about being a head coach. You know, just because you're an assistant coach doesn't mean that you know what it takes to be a head coach. There's a lot to learn. If you go on the New York Knicks website and you look at the staff, and you go down to executive management, David Fez Dale's name is under executive management. Why is that? Because as a head coach, you are in an executive position. There are things that you've got to do as a head coach that you didn't have to do as an assistant. It's people you got to talk to that you don't have to talk to as an assistant. Decisions that you've got to make that you don't have to make as an assistant. There may be disciplinary issues you've got to handle with your assistant coaches. It is a different ball game as a head coach. A different ball game. Everything falls in your lap. If an assistant coach makes a mistake, the general manager looks at you because that's the person that you supervise. It's a different ball game. You know, that's why even having head coaching experience in the G League on a college team, it helps because you can take that experience and use that experience as an example on how it might be on a professional level. You know, everything may not relate, but you can draw back and you can fall back on some of that experience. If you're an assistant coach, you may see what the head coach is going through or what they've got to do, but you don't feel it the same. You know, so David Fez Dale has been a head coach for, you know, less than 3 years in the NBA. He's still learning how to be a head coach. Those day-to-day things that you've got to handle as a head coach, it comes into play. It really does come into play, you know, which is why we do have to be a little bit patient with him. Got to be a little bit patient with him. Although the clock is ticking, and when I say the clock is ticking, I don't mean it's ticking as far as if he doesn't get it done this year, he's going to be fired. I mean, it's ticking as far as now we're going to start to evaluate you because last year, you know, was, you know, a crock of bull. Now we're really going to start to evaluate you. Now we're going to look at what kind of progress you're making. Are the players developing? We gave you some talent. Maybe not the best talent in the NBA, but we gave you some talent. What can you do with this talent now? You have legitimate NBA players. What can you do with these guys? The end-all, be-all isn't going to be the playoffs for Coach Fez Dale, in my opinion. But at least, we've got to in my opinion, we got double the talent. We should at least double up our win total. That's my opinion. Or at least come close to doubling up the win total. So that means, you know, somewhere around 34 wins. We should at least do that. And if we do that, then you look and you say, okay, you're doing your job. If we do better than that, then you're exceeding expectations. Now is when I think he begins to get evaluated. You know, so, you know, David Fez Dale, you know, he's got some learning to do, but he's still a young head coach. He's got some good championship experience. He's got good relationships with players. Hopefully not too good, not too close, not too brotherly. You know what I mean? What do you think, Tony? I know the video, you know, I put out the video earlier, you know, and you kind of gave your opinion about David Fez Dale. What do you think?
Yeah, my opinion is exactly the same. To elaborate on some of the things you said, I think I won't say he's on the clock. I'm going to say the clock starts now.
Right.
Last year was his preseason, and now this is game time. This is his first real season.
Yeah.
He like you said, we doubled up on our talent. I think we should go a little bit further than doubling our wins. I'll say double our wins plus 2, plus 4, because I think we should have won at least four more games, and that's just being that's lowballing right now.
Okay.
But I think we could have won at least 4 more games. So let's say we got to be close to 40. I think we should be around 38 wins, 38 to 42 wins. To elaborate on the talent we have that we didn't have before, or let me say this about Fez Dale. And I've said this before. We've seen the improvement that he's given our young guys, right? We've seen he made Moutier a player. Moutier got a contract before Jeremy Lin, and this is fresh off Jeremy Lin winning the championship. I think that says a lot. I think the game plan they had with Dennis Smith Jr. not wanting to change the shot during the season and then working on it immediately. I think working with Knox immediately after the off season, even though he credits Knox still called him. He could have said, "Oh, I want to work out, but I'm gonna go blah gym and do it there." No, he called the coach and said, "What do I need to work on?" Like, you got to give Fizz all due respect. You got to say the clock starts now. You got to look at this as a fresh start and go from there. And like you said, if we make the playoffs, that's when the real judgment comes. Because now it's a series. It's about adjustments. It's about matchups.
Right.
It's about rotation. Yeah. It's about managing minutes.
Yeah.
So that's when you really, really see what a guy is made.
What he can do. Exactly. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Tony, I'm gonna see if some other people want to call in, man.
No doubt.
I
Shout out to
appreciate
the
the call,
chat,
bro.
Yo, Black, it's time.
All right, peace. Yeah, David Fez Dale. The clock is definitely starting right now. And listen, David Fez Dale was my guy. That's who I wanted. I wanted David Fez Dale. I really did. And I still think that he's the guy. I think that he will do a good job. I was questionable about some things last year. I'm not going to lie. I was questionable about some things. You know what I mean? There was just some things. I'm not even going to go that deep into it. You know, one of my biggest things was the accountability. I just didn't think he held everybody accountable. I want to see that happen this season. I really do. I think we alluded to it earlier in the stream. I really want to see Fez Dale hold these guys accountable. Everybody accountable. If you need to be held accountable, hold them accountable. Not keep smart. Because there was something last year, I don't remember exactly what it was, where somebody didn't start, and I think Fez Dale sent Keith Smart to tell that person that he wasn't going to start. Something like that. I don't remember. If you remember in the chat, go ahead and and mention it. I don't know. I felt like the head coach, you should approach that player. If you're not going to start that player, first of all, you really don't have to say anything if you don't want to. You can be like, well, this is the lineup that I'm going with. I've done it before. Especially at AAU tournaments when, it's game after game after game. You got 3 games in a day and I want to change my starting lineup. I may not have time to sit down and just say, hey, this is what's going to happen. Here's why, blah, 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 blah. It happens. Halftime I change the lineup. I don't need to sit down and talk to you. We could talk about it in practice. But if you're going to talk, I'm not going to send my assistant coach to talk. If I'm going to have a conversation with my player about not starting and the reason why I'm not starting you, then I'm going to have that conversation. I'm not going to send my assistant. You know what I mean? That's me. That's me, but I'm not a professional coach either. Right? I coach high school basketball or high school level basketball. So I guess there's a difference there. Caller, you on live with Nothing But Knicks. What's poppin'?
Hey, what's up, Tip?
What's good with you, bro?
Sure.
So yeah, what you got on your mind, man?
No, I mean, I think with Coach Fez Dale, I mean, he had the unenviable task of having the guy to tank. And we all knew we were tanking, and everybody knew we were tanking. And I think we had RJ in mind the whole time. And then Zion came out of nowhere. Well, not nowhere, but came onto the scene and, you know, sort of stole the show. And I think we're going to just let Fizdale actually coach, because we all saw him pull guys last year that were on runs and, you know, manipulate the way the lineups were to make sure that we, you know, it was a lot tougher because we played really good teams tough last year. And you don't do that if you're a horrible team. So, I don't know. I just think we're going to see a whole different way of coaching this year. I think guys aren't going to play as much. I think he's going to roll with teams that are on hot streaks. I think a lot of the vets are going to play. You know, I mean, so I just think we need to, like, you know, let these guys do their job and not, you know, get so, you know, antsy about a tank, because that was the most, you know, everybody knew that tank was happening and we did it to perfection. I mean, even in that, we should be happy. So, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I see what you're saying. You know, we're going to get a chance to see if these guys are going to do their job. This is the time for these guys to do the job. And that's what this whole thing is about, going meeting the staff, because last year, everything was so out of whack. It didn't matter. I don't think it mattered what the staff was doing. But this year, I think it's a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we got a chance to see these guys coach, or these guys are going to have a chance to coach and prove what they can do, and prove that they're good coaches, prove that they have something in place and that they can develop players and that they can put a good product on the floor. You know what I mean? But hey, look, it's starting to get late, so I don't mean to cut you off. It's just starting to get late, so I want to try to get as many people in as possible. All right.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the call, man.
Good night, Cap.
All right, peace. And, you know, I'm going to come back to my video chat real quick. One thing that I do want to talk about as we're talking about Fez Dale, we're beginning to wind down, but we're not there yet. We're not done yet. With Fez Dale, we talked about the job of being a head coach, right? And the different factors that come into play. Well, one of the things, as the head coach, you've got to set up your philosophy. You've got to set up your vision for the team. And then you need your assistant coaches to be able to teach that philosophy, teach that vision, or help to bring that vision to fruition. So if people say, well, it's up to Fez Dale to convince or make sure that everybody buys into the philosophy, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. You don't want your coaches to buy into the philosophy buy into the vision, what you want to do is you want to have your vision. You want to have your philosophy. And then when you go get coaches, you hire coaches who believe in your philosophy. They have the same mindset as you. See, you don't want to have to convince them or have them buy in. You want them to already have the same mindset. There may be a few differences here and there, yeah. But you want them to have that same philosophy. Now, you don't have to convince them. They are already speaking with the same.
That, let's take an example like Gregg Popovich. Do you honestly think, as good as Gregg Popovich is, do you think that he wanted his assistant coaches to, adapt to what he was doing? No. He wanted to lay the law down and say, this is how I'm going to coach. You either are with it or you're not with it. And I think what concerns me is with Fez Dale, he has not set a foundation of what he wants to do. You look at all the great teams out there, even the teams that are mediocre or whatever, some of them have an identity. We don't know what the hell the Knicks are going to be. All we know is we're comprised of a bunch of young players that have not hit their ceilings, which is great. But we have no idea if we're going to be offensively, we're going to be defensively. We have no idea. And that's very concerning as a Knicks fan, because when you have no identity, you have no plan. And that's very concerning for a young coach, because you are leading a bunch of young guys who are soaking up everything you're saying to them. And if you have no plan or no identity of what we're going to do as a team, how do you expect to be successful?
Yeah. Before I get to there, it looks like the stream had gotten a little choppy and maybe some people didn't get everything that I was saying. My point, Joe, because you asked me to remake the point, is that when Fez Dale gets his, and he already has his assistant coaches. So the hope is that before he even hired them, he interviewed them and made sure that they were on the same page as him. They were on the same wavelength as him, right? He made sure that they had the same philosophy. They understood his vision, and that they could use the same philosophy in which they already agree with Fez Dale to teach these kids. So what I'm saying is, we don't want Fez Dale to have to convince his coaching staff or have his coaching staff buy into his philosophy or buy into his vision. When he hired those staff members, the coaching staff, he needed to make sure that they were already, he didn't have to convince them. They already thought like him. They already had the same philosophy as him. That way it's easy. It's easy for them to teach what he wants to teach. Because in the end, it's his mouth. It's his voice that has to go out to all of the players. So he's got to hire coaches that speak his same voice. Because if you're trying to convince your coaches and you want your coaches to buy in, then I think you're already done. Because at some point, your coaches aren't going to buy into everything. But if you have coaches and people and staff and everyone that has the same philosophy, the same mindset already from the beginning, that makes your job that much easier. So, that's what I'm getting at. And hopefully, like Nate is saying, this season, guys the coaches can really begin to implement David Fez Dale's philosophy, style of play. I'm not sure what it is yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure out what that philosophy is. Hopefully, we're going to be able to see some of it this year. Maybe Coach Fez Dale is still trying to figure that out too. I don't know. Like I said, he's a young guy. He's a young coach. He might still be trying to figure it out too. Let me get around and see, some other people here. Isaiah, I'm gonna come to you. What do you think, man?
Hey, what's going on, Sam?
Does Fez Dale have his philosophy down? Does he know what his style of coaching is? And do the coaches that we have on staff, that he has on staff, do they represent his style naturally, without them trying to buy in, without him convincing them? Do they represent what he wants the team to be about?
Okay, so first of all, does Fizz know what he wants to do? Yes, I think Fizz knew what he wanted to do last year. I just think, last year he didn't have the players, and I personally didn't like it, but I think he kind of put his philosophy on back burner for a little while for the benefit of the players, which I don't think was a benefit, but I think, in my opinion, Fizzo felt he didn't have the players to execute what he wanted, so he just said, "Okay, we're just gonna let the kids play, tank, and get a good pick." I know he's never gonna admit that he wanted to tank, but sorry, the evidence and the proof in the court showed me that you wanted to tank. That's just my opinion. I do believe the coaches that he did get are the ones that they're gonna execute his philosophies. I do believe that. What was the other question you said?
No, I mean that was pretty much it. I mean, most of the guys that are there now were there last season too.
Yeah. So I do believe, most of the guys are there. So I do believe that the people that he worked, that the people that he did, the new people that he got, they are the people that they had conversations. They know what he wants to do. They know what he wants to execute it. Now I think with the players who are here, but I feel like we got a lot of very high C plus players and B list players. Maybe an A in there somewhere. I don't know who's the A. Maybe it's Mitchell. Maybe it's RJ. Maybe it's Randall. Who knows? But we got the players, I think, now to execute what they really want to do. And now, again, like we all said, the clock is ticking on Fizdo now. This is the season where we gotta see. This is the season we're going to see him implement the style that he wanted to play last year, but he couldn't play. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I'm going to sleep. So I gotta go.
Yeah, man, I can tell because you sound drunk. So go to sleep.
Shut up.
So you can get up for work in the morning. What time you work in the morning?
I gotta go to work at 9:00.
Yeah, go to sleep so you don't be late. Because you can't afford any more of those tardies. Did I hear like 2 more tardies and you're going to be on probation or something like that? Is that what I heard?
I can't get fired. I'm the CEO. I can't get fired.
Well, you mean see you out the door? CEO.
Wow. Sam, you know what's crazy, man? And you better not kick me out because you be doing this and pushing the narrative and kicking me out and trying to make it seem like I don't work. I'm doing this. Listen, I'm going to hire you. I'm going to pay. Shut up, City.
You going to hire me for what? What you going to hire me for?
I'm going to hire you, man. You need a little money, man. I'm going to hire you.
What you going to hire me for?
Get you a good little money. But don't worry what I'm going to hire you for. You're going to be my assistant.
You better just worry about keeping your job. Get to work on time. You got 2 tardies left.
Oh, my God. Do I look like City? City's always late.
2 tardies left. They're going to put you on probation. You better hurry up. You better
hey, listen, I can't be in the same boat as Tony Crow. Sorry, Tony. Listen, Sam, we're going to play one-on-one. Just know this.
Look,
and
Isaiah told me, check this out. Isaiah told me, look, Isaiah told me he's got to be to work at 9. He lives 15 minutes from his house.
Oh, my God.
So he leaves at 8:50. You know what I'm saying? That's his lot. That's the type of logic he has. So, that's all I got to say about that.
Oh, my God. Listen,
he told me that personally.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Because for some reason he thinks time in his car is different than in everybody else's car. I don't know.
Well, when you got a 2050, you don't have to worry about time. I got a time travel car.
See what I'm talking about? All right, man. You better go to sleep so you can get up.
All right,
you gotta
be
working 8 hours, and you ain't gonna get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Peace. I'm out. Well, you're out. I'm not out yet. I'm about to be out though. All right, fellas, man. Why don't you guys just give me some last words, man, on this coaching carousel, this coaching team, and what you think about this coaching team, and can this coaching team at least coach the team to double their win total or overachieve. Nate, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this coaching staff is that everybody talked about player development. We got to make players better. We got to see their games get better. They're young guys. We got to give them time. Well, they did a great job of that last year. We saw a lot of players get better. Trier, Mitchell, Knox at the end of the season. So they have the potential to make the players better. What we have to do now is we have to get wins on the board. And the reality is that the clock is really ticking for Fez Dale right now. And if he cannot produce at least 30 to 35 wins this year, there's going to be some serious rumblings in New York about maybe did we hire the right coach? And it's because the team is more talented. You've gotten draft picks, first-round draft picks the last couple of years. You brought in a 2010 guy in Julius Randle, who you hope is going to be one of your best players on the team. It's starting to feel like you've got to get this together sooner than later. And so, I still believe in Fez Dale. I hope he does get it done. I'm rooting for the guy. I think he got an unfair shake in Memphis. So I think this is going to be a better opportunity for him, but he's got to show it on the court. And it's got to start with identity. It's got to start with what kind of team are we going to be? I wish he would just come out and say that. This is the team we're going to be. I think New York fans would take a sigh of relief and say, "Oh, finally he told us." So then we would expect it when we see him on the court.
All right.
We'll see.
All right, man. Later.
All right. Have a good night.
Peace. The only thing I would say about that is about him just coming out and saying this is the team we're going to be, is that until you get the players together and you start working together as a team, you don't know what the team is going to be. I would much rather him just say, my philosophy and the way that I would like to play is this, but once we get the team in, then we can see how we might adjust. But your philosophy can still be the same. If you want to, if you're a defensive stalwart, you might still have that same philosophy, and guys that don't fit in end up being out the door. You know what I mean? I think you can have a philosophy. I don't know if you're going to know your full team identity yet until you get these guys in. It's like 7-8 new players, man. It's going to be hard to just say, yeah, this is what we're going to be, and then expect everyone to be that if you don't have those type of players. That's a tough task, Guillermo?
Yeah, man. It remains to be seen, Sim, as to what Fez Dale's actual philosophy is, because we really didn't see anything last year to prove otherwise. That's why I was so gung ho on these coaches being effective coming out the gate. We just don't know, and we don't know what his system is. To be effective, he's going to have these guys. They have to relay to the players what exactly Fez wants. The veterans have to be basically the guinea pigs to kind of carry out, and then relay that back to the players as like the officers to kind of hone everything in. If some guys playing out of turn or not playing the right way that Fez wants them to play, it's up to the vets to kind of keep these guys in line. That's going to be tough because these guys are essentially on one-to-one deals for the most part, except for Randall. I just don't know what Fez wants. This team doesn't resemble exactly what the Grizzlies have, but we do have a bunch of athletic forwards and some point guards. Maybe not Conley, but I don't know. I really can't say. Fez Dale has to show us, and it has to be drastic from last year. Is it defensive? Are we going to be a defensive team? Are you going to be a run and gun team? Are we going to be a point guard, ball dominant type of team, high pick and rolls, pass the guys in the corner or on the perimeter? I don't know. Remains to be seen. I can't really call this in.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Fez Dale can call it yet either.
Nope.
To be honest with you. All right,
a lot of development, man.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. All right, man. I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
See you, bro.
Later. City, it's on you,
bro.
Yo.
Hey, man. I just want to say this, right? We got a puzzle. You know what I mean? So with that being said, we got a puzzle. And the only thing we need to do is figure out if Fizz can put the pieces together to make them fit. That's all it's about, because we have the talent. We got young guys. We got veterans. We got pretty much a boxed puzzle. Only thing Fizz needs to do is come through with his coaching, make it fit, and do the thing that he did, let's just say, with the Grizzlies. You know what I mean? And I would love, hey, check this out. I would love to see him or see us in some type of playoff situation and see him go back on the Rook rant where he say, yo, they ain't going to Rook us. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm hoping for it. I want to see something like that. I want to see us get into the playoffs. And Fizz, if they do something crazy, like, you know what I'm saying, try to do us grimy or whatever you want to call it, I just want to see Fizz come through and do the thing. And let's get you up to you already know, let's get you up to that 10K mark. Everybody do the thing. Everybody in comments, like, subscribe, and share. Get Sim up to 10K. And once y'all do that, I'm copping my bucket joint. As soon as Sim get the Alpha Wall Street joint on there, I'm doing it.
There we go.
I'm trying to tell you right now. You know I got to do that.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you, my man.
For sure.
I am about to head up out of here. Have a good night. Good rest of your week. I'll catch you on Wednesday.
Peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, man. It was a pretty good show, I think. You know, I think everybody learned a little bit of something about the coaching staff, but this is what I want to end with. I spoke about it earlier, just a few minutes ago. But Coach Fez Dale, he's really got to take his staff, sit down with them, and make sure that they know what their philosophy is, know what their vision is, and know what kind of voice and temperament they want to bring to the team. It's got to be done. This is how they're going to establish their culture and establish their identity. Every single voice, every single coach has to be voicing the same language. Speak with the same voice. Speak to the players about the same things. Everyone's going to have their niche. Everyone's going to have their niche, but the language has got to be the same. What you're saying has got to be the same. You can't have somebody else saying this, someone else saying that. Everyone's got to fall in line. So Fez Dale's got to sit down with the coaches, and together they come up with their philosophy, if they don't have one yet. They come up with their philosophy. They develop their vision for the season, or they develop their overall vision and what's their goals for this season. And of course, you're going to have some of the players, you know, that want to have some input into the goals. So when the team gets together, you say, okay, you know, here's some goals that we have set. What are some goals that you want to set? And get everybody speaking the same language. Get everybody moving in one direction together. It's got to start from Fez Dale, moving on down to his coaching staff, then moving to the players. Your assistant coaches do more hand-in-hand work with the players than the head coaches. So they've got to be speaking your language. Because if they're not, then it's a problem. It is a problem. So let's see if that happens this season. Let's see. I'll be watching the coaching staff. I hope you're watching the coaching staff. I want to see how these guys fit together as a team. I mean, they've been there since last year. There's been one change. Mike Miller is there instead of Howard Isley. Nobody's left from the coaching staff from the Phil Jackson era. So let's see what David Fez Dale can do. He's got his crew there. His hand-picked guys, the guys that he picked. They're all hand-picked. Guys that he picked. Let's see what they can do, man. We're going to see what they can do. Another show, another night. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. You'll be notified anytime I go live, drop a video, post in my community section. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out. Have a great week. I will see you on Wednesday. Peace.
Master G.